YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Josh. I make DIY and room makeover videos. Today I'm excited to share the second and final part of my bathroom makeover. This video has kind of been a long time coming. This project took me a bit longer than I expected, but I'm just so thrilled with how the space turned out, and I finally feel like all of my spaces are very cohesive and connected, and that's really what I was going for when I decided to transform my bathroom. So the DIY part of this makeover is really what took me the longest, and that's really what I am going to walk you guys through today. I actually painted my bathroom floor. It's a tiled floor, and you can paint tile, which I didn't know before, but I thought it was such a fun idea and I really wanted to try it. There definitely was some trial and error involved, so hopefully I made some of the mistakes so you guys don't have to. Definitely leave questions down below if you have any. I will try to answer them as best I can, but for now I hope you enjoy this bathroom makeover. So first things first, before I could start painting the floor, I just had to give it a really good scrub. First I went around with some Goo Gone just to get anything up that was really sticky and hard to get. And then I went around again with a standard tile cleaner. I picked these up at Home Depot, but if I can find links to these guys, I'll link them both below for you. Next, you want to sand down your tiles. I tried this first by hand, but I wasn't really sure if I was doing it efficiently enough. So I borrowed my little brother's sander and I went around first with a coarse grit, followed by a fine grit. Then I just vacuumed up any extra sand, gave it one more clean, and then it was time to prep for painting. So here's the primer I used. I definitely did a lot of research before tackling such a big project, and this seemed to be sort of the most highly recommended across the board for anyone who was tackling a project where they were painting tiles. So I'll link this down below for you guys. For my space, I ended up doing 3 full coats of this primer. I really wanted to have a good base to paint on top of. I tried a couple different things, but I found that the best method was to paint most of the tiles with a small roller and to get into any hard to reach areas with a foam brush. Once the primer was fully dry, it was time to get in there with the paint color I chose, which is Russian Olive by Behr. So this is a really beautiful, sort of soft green color. This color has been really popular lately, and I'm really just excited to add a really interesting pop of color into my space. Similar thing as the primer for this, I plan to do 3 full coats of this. And again, I was kind of just experimenting throughout this project. So I tried to paint with this edge painter. This is meant to paint in corners so that you don't have to tape up your walls. But I saw it when I was shopping at Home Depot and I really wanted to try it out. And I ended up using it to paint the whole floor. It really did work so well. It really gave me a lot of coverage. It could be a little bit streaky, but of course with each coat that got less and less, and it really saved me so much time to use this for this project. Then it was time to paint the grout. So here you can see my first attempt at applying this grout. So I just used a regular grout paint pen, and what I would do is draw in between the lines for a certain section. I would try to wipe away the excess. I used a moist magic eraser. I thought that I could repeat these steps over and over, leaving a little bit more black behind each time. But this method was really proving to be inefficient and my results were very inconsistent. So I really had to do a lot of brainstorming. And finally, I ended up doing what I ultimately was hoping to avoid, which is completely taping up the whole floor. So I ended up having to tape off all of my horizontal lines, fill in the grout, let it dry, then go back, take all the tape off, and then tape across, do all of my vertical lines, again, apply the grout, let it dry, take off the tape. So this was a very long and very tedious process, and sort of why this video has been so delayed, just because kind of scheduling myself around work and things like that, this project ended up taking a bit longer than expected. So through all of the frustration and the brainstorming, I sadly didn't record myself painstakingly taping up the whole entire floor, but what you just saw was me taking some of the tape off, and here you can see the result at the end of all of that taping. If you're thinking of trying a project like this, keep in mind this would be much easier with larger bathroom tiles and larger grout lines. Now, to seal our paint, we are using a water-based polyurethane sealer. Of course, this will be linked in the description box. And again, for this, we are doing 3 full even coats. I found that a foam brush was perfect for this step. You just brush it on nice and smooth. It will appear sort of white and milky, but that color clears up as it dries. This last step is super important to make sure after all of your hard work that your floor remains protected, because bathrooms are definitely places with a lot of moisture and they're often high traffic areas. So this is really what's gonna be what's protecting those newly painted tiles. The next sort of big thing that I wanted to do to really transform this space was to change the light fixture. The one that I had prior just didn't really have much personality to me. It was sort of bland, so I really wanted to change this to really make it a beautiful feature in the bathroom. This was pretty intimidating to me, but I watched a couple YouTube videos and it seemed relatively doable, so I figured I would try my luck, and thankfully this did work out for me. I thought I would kind of go through the instructions of changing a light bulb in this video, but I figured since this was my first time, maybe I'm not the best person to teach this, so I'm putting a link in my description box below that is a very simple, straightforward walkthrough for anyone wanting to tackle a project like this. I was honestly shocked that on my first try, this did work out for me, so I wanted to share this little clip of me trying out the new fixture for the first time. Okay, so now, go to the light breaker box. Sorry. I did it. Once I double checked that the electrical was hooked up correctly and I saw that everything was working, I was able to just finish mounting my fixture and then move on to the next step of this bathroom makeover. The last major change that I really wanted to make to the space was to spray paint my shower and bathtub fixtures. In a previous video, if you guys saw, I did this with my bathroom vanity. I spray painted the sink, which worked out so beautifully for me. So I'm gonna put a card on screen for you guys. If you do want full instructions as to how to do this, please check out that video. It is very detailed. Here, I'm just gonna show you a couple clips and kind of run through it very quickly just to give you guys the gist. And then if you feel like you're into it, you can totally jump to that video for the full step-by-step tutorial. So just to give a little summary, you wanna make sure you're working with completely clean and dry surfaces. You are first going to go in with a coarse grit sandpaper and sand down every inch of the surface that you are going to spray paint. You need to do coarse grit followed by a fine grit. Then you are going to tape around your fixtures in a circular pattern. This is really important just to make sure all of your surfaces are fully protected. This is a little bit tedious, but definitely an important step, so don't skip it. And then you are going to cover all the rest of your spaces with tarp, and you're just about ready to go. For the spray paint, you're first gonna go in with a automobile primer, doing at least 2 to 3 coats, followed by your color of choice. Again, usually takes about 2 to 3 coats. And lastly, you will go in with a high gloss lacquer. Just to finish it off, make sure everything under is fully protected and sealed, and to really give it that shine. Once all these steps are complete, give it at least a full 24 hours, and if you can, a full 48 hours before using these fixtures. So after all those big changes, I just wanted to go around with my finishing touches. First thing I wanted to do was to add a couple things for organization. So I put up this cute, very sleek black floating shelf just for my shampoo and conditioner. Of course, since it's on display, I only put up the things that are very aesthetic. And then tucked away in the corner, I got this little, less cute organizer for my other essentials. Another thing that I wanted to do was to change out the handles on my mirror. I definitely wanted to keep the black and brass mixed metal thing going on, but these ones were just a little bit too big and in my face, so I just wanted to get something a little bit more low profile and sleek and sort of out of the way. So I added these slimmer handles from Amazon. Aside from that, just a couple decor things around the space, and my makeover was finally complete. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate the support. If you guys have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget, links to everything I use are down in the description box as well. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can always click that little bell to get notified whenever I post a new